Right now, somewhere in the world, a student is studying late at night. Eyes tired, mind exhausted, coffee next to the laptop. They believe something very simple. If I just work hard enough, my life will be successful. And maybe you believe the same thing. Study hard, get good grades, earn a degree, get a stable job, and then life will finally start. But what if I told you that the system you trust the most was never designed to make you wealthy? What if the system was designed for something else entirely? And once you understand this, you will never see education, work, or success the same way again. Look at some of the most successful people in modern history: Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Richard Branson, Steve Jobs. Different industries, different personalities, different stories, but they all share something in common. They stepped outside the traditional system. They didn't follow the expected path. And because of that, they built something extraordinary. Now think about the typical life path society promotes. You go to school for 12 years, then college for another 4 years, sometimes even more. That means nearly 20 years of your life are spent inside an education system. But here's a question almost nobody asks. Why? Why does the system look the way it does? Why are we trained to follow instructions, memorize information, and compete for grades? To understand the answer, we need to go back in time. The year is 1806. Europe is in chaos. Armies are fighting across the continent. One of the most powerful leaders in history is dominating the battlefield: Napoleon Bonaparte. During this time, Napoleon defeats the army of Prussia, and this defeat shocked everyone because Prussia had a strong military, well-trained, disciplined, yet they still lost. After studying the war carefully, Prussian leaders realized something important. Their soldiers were thinking independently. They were making their own decisions on the battlefield. Meanwhile, Napoleon's soldiers followed orders instantly, without hesitation, without question. And that difference changed everything. So Prussian leaders decided something radical. They needed a system that would train people to follow instructions perfectly, a system that would produce disciplined, obedient citizens. And that system became known as the Prussian education model. Children would enter school at a young age. They would sit in rows, listen to a teacher, follow strict schedules, memorize information, take tests, compete for grades, and most importantly, learn to obey authority. The goal was simple: create reliable soldiers, create reliable workers, create people who would follow instructions. And then something else happened. A massive transformation began across the world. Industrial revolution. Factories appeared everywhere. Machines replaced manual labor. Production increased dramatically. But factories had a problem. They needed workers. Millions of workers. People who would show up on time, follow instructions, work long hours, and repeat the same tasks every day. Does this sound familiar? Suddenly, the education system became extremely useful because it was already producing the exact kind of people factories needed: students who were trained to follow rules, students who were trained to listen to authority, students who were trained to work within a system. So the Prussian model spread across the world. Country after country adopted similar education structures, not because it created entrepreneurs, but because it created reliable workers. Fast forward to today. The system still looks almost the same. Students sit in classrooms, they memorize information, they pass exams, they earn degrees, and then they enter the workforce. But something strange has started happening. The promises no longer match reality. Millions of graduates are struggling to find jobs. Others find jobs but feel trapped in them. They wake up early, commute to work, sit in an office, return home exhausted. Repeat, week after week, year after year, until one day they realize something shocking. They spent decades preparing for a life they never truly wanted. The truth is, the modern economy has changed dramatically. Technology has reshaped everything. Artificial intelligence is replacing routine jobs. Automation is transforming industries. And yet the education system still trains people for the old world, a world that barely exists anymore. But here's the interesting part. Opportunity has never been greater. Right now, someone with a laptop and internet connection can build a global business. Creators build audiences of millions. Developers build apps used worldwide. Entrepreneurs launch companies from their bedrooms. The barriers that once existed are disappearing, but most people never see these opportunities. Why? Because they are still thinking inside the old system. The system trains people to seek security, but innovation requires risk. The system rewards obedience, but success often requires questioning authority. The system values grades, but the real world values skills. Think about this for a moment. When was the last time school taught you how to build a business, how to negotiate, how to invest, how to communicate powerfully, how to understand human psychology? These skills determine success in the real world, yet most students never learn them. And that brings us to an important realization. Education itself is not the problem. Learning is one of the most powerful things a human can do. But the structure of traditional education is outdated. It was designed for a different era, an era of factories and industrial labor, not an era of creativity, technology, and global communication. So what does this mean for you? It means the responsibility for learning has shifted. You can no longer rely solely on institutions. You must become the architect of your own education. You must explore, experiment, develop skills that actually create value. The internet has unlocked something incredible. Knowledge is now accessible to everyone. You can learn programming, marketing, design, finance, storytelling, often from people who are actively working in those fields, people who have built real success, not just theoretical knowledge. This shift is already happening. A new generation is building careers in completely different ways. Freelancers, content creators, startup founders, remote professionals, digital entrepreneurs. They are designing lives that previous generations never imagined. But this path requires something the system rarely teaches: courage. The courage to question assumptions, the courage to explore uncertain paths, the courage to fail and try again. Because innovation rarely happens inside comfortable systems. So ask yourself something honestly. Are you living the life you truly want, or the life the system prepared you for? There is nothing wrong with choosing stability, but it should be a choice, not the only option you believe exists. The world is changing faster than ever before. New industries are emerging. New technologies are transforming society. And the people who succeed in this world will not simply follow instructions. They will ask questions. They will create solutions. They will build new opportunities. And maybe the most important realization of all is this: the system doesn't define your future. Your curiosity does. Your willingness to learn does. Your courage to take action does. So the real question is not whether the system is flawed. The real question is this: what will you do with the knowledge you now have? Will you continue following the same path, or will you start building your own? Because the truth is, the most powerful education you will ever receive is the one you create for yourself.